Hello, hello. Happy Friday to all of you guys. Happy Friday. If you were on here, please get those likes up. Get those likes up, tag anybody, share this discussion with someone that you think may find it interesting. Thanks for being here tonight. Thank you for hanging out. Also, shout out to Deanie for the 10 on the super chat. I really, truly appreciate you. I appreciate the support. Guys, if you would like to show support to the show, show support to what I do, you can find me on Cash App or Venmo, Shay Sharday. So, just to get right into this situation, you guys probably by now have heard about this whole scenario with Asia Maynard, I think her name is. Um, this whole debacle where basically this woman, um, at the age of 29, supposedly died of natural causes. Y'all, at 29. Who dies of natural causes at 29? Like, really? But, anyways, I wanted to review this story because I think, again, this gives us a snapshot into what is actually going on today in the just dating market, and what women I believe need to be aware of. So I'm going to read briefly, real quick, because I did a quick search earlier this day trying to see what were updates, what's the latest and the greatest in this case. And I'm just going to briefly read through an article that Fox News posted earlier. I think it was today that it posted, just so you guys can get a sense of where we are at with this case. So it says this actually posted 2 days ago. So it reads, the Kansas City Police Department said it hasn't received a final determination from the medical examiner about how Maynard died. Her family hopes the national attention she's getting can push police to find out exactly what happened to Asia. Asia was outgoing, great mother, loved to cook. She just loved family. Her sister, Teara Maynard, said, she said her life isn't as bright without her sister, Asia. The 29-year-old mother of four died on February 19th after her family said she went on a date with a man they didn't know. So, if you're not familiar with the backstory, basically, this woman, she had evidently had made plans with her sister, I think later on in the day, but before she was supposed to meet up with her sister, she had decided to meet up with this guy, this new friend, they call it in other sources, and the sister never got back to her. She never heard back. I think like a day or two went by, and by that time, her sister was like, "This is not normal. She wouldn't have done this to me. She would have reached out to me. I should have seen her by now." So then she, files a police report. The police are like, "She's probably okay. We'll hear back from you." And then eventually, lo and behold, come to find out, the police had been alerted. They had been alerted from the gentleman that she was on a date with that she had died. So that's the story. That the man that she was on a date with called the police and said, "Hey, this woman is dead." The police go and I think do whatever with her body. And by the time the family had found out about it, obviously it was a day or two later. They had not reached out to the family to report to them about the death of their, daughter, sister, or whatever. They had not reached out to her, and they said that she died of natural causes. When the family went to see the body, they found blood all over her. And they're like, how are you saying that she died of natural causes at 29 and there's blood all over her? So there's definitely holes into the story. But I read on, and then it says, this is the family speaking, her sister. She says, our family really wants answers. We're trying to grieve, and it's so hard to grieve when we don't know what happened to my sister. We just want answers, Teara Maynard said. Maynard was supposed to meet her sister that next day, but never showed up. When Teara filed a missing persons report, she found that police knew where she was. She had died overnight at a man's house. He allegedly called police when he woke up in the morning and found her dead. What? Yeah, whatever. Sorry, he allegedly called. It's like he didn't allegedly call. He called the police. Like, this side note, these cases, it's interesting. It's interesting if you guys notice the subtleties in how they report, how, certain things are alleged and then certain things are true. And you'll notice, based upon the parties that are involved, who is given the benefit of the doubt and who is not. So let me continue. So they said he allegedly called, and previous reports I read said he called because somebody actually called and alerted the police to her death. So it was an alleged call. It was an absolute call that somebody made to say she's dead. Anyways, it says, I'm not going to lie. It's going to be very tough. I'm really trying to stand strong for my family. It's very tough, Maynard said. That's Asia Maynard's sister talking about it. This is after Fox 4 aired Asia's stories last week. It's received national attention. Articles from Complex and the Shade Room popped up online. Her story was shared by comedian D.L. Huey and prominent attorney Ben Crump on Twitter. Several bloggers and podcasters have already started talking about the complexities of the case and why they believe police should do more. Thousands are now asking how Asia died. I believe they thought we would just go with the flow of everything. They would let us know she died of natural causes and we would be okay. But we are a family who fights. When you know your family, you just know something's not right, Maynard said. KCPD said they are still investigating Maynard's death, and the medical examiner has not made a determination on her cause of death. The family hopes people keep asking questions. It says we need that push for people to hear our story because a lot of people don't know what's going on. I think it's a good thing. I want everybody to know. Thank you for sharing and stand behind us, Maynard said. KCPD said there was no new information on the case as of Wednesday. However, they emphasized they are still looking into the case and said there were no obvious signs of foul play. So again, as I mentioned in previous articles, it mentioned how when the family went to go see this, young woman who was now deceased, they saw blood in her face. The police officers are saying there's no foul play. Interesting. It says her case is considered a death investigation and not a homicide. The family is currently raising money to try and retain a lawyer to assist them with their case and for an independent autopsy. And then if you'd like to contribute, so there's actually GoFundMe pages there if you want to contribute to the cause. But so there you go. So that is a recent report. So there we have it. Again, this young woman went go on a date with this gentleman, and turned up dead. There's all these missing holes. There's all these things missing. What's curious about this situation is that this gentleman has not, the person that she was on a date with, the last person to have seen her alive, nobody has taken him into custody, not even questioning. None of that has been, none of that has actually happened. Now I want to turn your attention to this post. This is what Asia Maynard's sister posted about a week ago about what she knows about the gentleman that she believes to be the guy that she went out with. It says, this man, and now we're pointing to this gentleman right here. This man that goes by the name of Isaiah James Crown, around the age 24 to 26, from the state of Florida, was last seen in KCML with my sister Asia Maynard at Lady Mayflower on February 18th, 2022. She went on a date with him, and he went to his house. Was found dead the morning of February 19th, 2022. She don't have any health issues, very healthy, only 29 years old. She has 4 kids. And they're trying to rule the death as if it was natural causes. There are no further investigation, and we feel that there was foul play. I was contacted about her being deceased. The only way we found out was because we filed a missing person report February 20th, 2022 at 2:30 p.m. And that's when we found out she was deceased. An autopsy had already been performed and she was already cleared and ready for the funeral home to pick her up. February 20th, 2022. So again, like I said, the only reason they found it was because they filed a missing police report. If they had not filed a report, they probably would not have heard of anything. Crazy, y'all. It says, the detective stated there was no way for them to get into contact with any of her family because she didn't have anything updated, but it's other ways that you could have went about it, like running the license plate, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, and then at the end, she's asking if you can make it go viral because they want answers. So, y'all, I mean, this is just fishy. This is just fishy. Here we have another beautiful young woman goes on a date with a white gentleman, and ends up dead. And there's all these holes, and nobody really seems to be in a rush to figure out why and to figure out what's going on and to figure out what actually happened. Like I said, the only reason we're hearing about this now is because the family is trying to push for answers. The family is trying to figure out what is going on. And the investigation, from what we've seen, it seems to be very, very lackadaisical. Very lackadaisical. Like I said, the family was not contacted. They saw blood in her face when they went to see her autopsy, other reports say, and but they're saying that she died of natural causes, although she is 29. So there's all these holes. The gentleman that she was last with, from the different reports that I've shown, it doesn't seem like he's been taken into custody, even been taken into question. Nobody's heard about him. All we know is that there's this young woman who had 4 kids who is now dead, and nothing seems to be done about it. This is an eerily familiar scenario. We were just talking about this, what, how many weeks ago with Lauren Smith Fields? It's deep. It's deep. Now here's one of the things I want to mention about this, you guys. Um, I'm not gonna sit here and say that obviously every woman that goes on a blind date is gonna be killed, or every woman that goes on a blind date with a white man is gonna be killed. Obviously, that is not the case. But here's something that I think women need to understand as they are navigating the dating market. First things first, I've said this before and I will say this again. If you are actually serious about dating a man, if you are about serious about getting in a situation, and wanting to grow and maybe find a mate, a long-term husband, whatever, you should be really cautious. You should take your time. I do not believe first dates, all these men need to go and spend all this money, or men need to go and take you out on all these nice lavish restaurants. I think that can be very dangerous. I think putting expectations on a person that you've just met, that they have to wow you with a great date, that can be really dangerous. Because first of all, if a man is now spending a couple $100s on you, if that's the expectation, it's your first date, he's likely thinking, okay, where is this going to end up? Are we going to be having sex? Is this where this date is ending? And so I think already that puts so much pressure on the first date. So I believe, a woman who was serious, especially, you need to be really safe and cautious. If you don't know this person from Adam, you're meeting him for the first time. Y'all meet in a neutral location during the day, somewhere chill, somewhere relaxed. Okay, meet at a coffee shop. Grab some ice cream. I don't know, grab some cupcakes, tacos. Just keep it chill. Meet at like a park somewhere where there's a lot of people. Go to a mall, or meet somewhere where there's a lot of people around you, where you don't know where he's coming from, he don't know where you're coming from. You know what I mean? And it's a neutral location, because I feel like there's people out there who are crazy people, and this is the second time that we've seen a situation where she doesn't know the person or barely knows them, and is ending up in their apartment in a very compromising situation. And I think this is also one of the issues with hookup culture, because I do know there's women out there who are like, hey, I'm not ready to marry, I just want to hook up, and I just want to have a one night stand, or I just want to, you know what I mean, sleep around and that's it, have casual sex, that's it. That is also incredibly dangerous. I mean, not only is that mentally and spiritually dangerous, but you're talking now, God forbid you end up with somebody who has anger issues, drug issues, is crazy, whatever. You could end up like this young, beautiful girl, Asia Maynard, dead, and nobody knows why. You could end up like Lauren Smith Fields, nobody knows why. And again, like I said, those are two situations where these young women, going into a situation, putting them, being in situations where like they're alone with guys that they don't really know. And that's very dangerous. And in the era of social media, where people can meet random people who live in different areas, different states, through Instagram, like I posted that thing on my community tab earlier, that strange dude sending me that creepy message. That, I mean, this is not the first time that's happened, but that happens to women all the time. You get creepy messages from guys who want to link up, who want to, spoil you or send you money, and you find it interesting, you find it tempting, and you want to explore. Those are all dangerous scenarios. So I say, anytime, if you're serious about going on a first date, please, ladies, be safe. Be safe. Don't meet at night. Don't meet in these don't put yourself in a situation where a guy is spending all this money on you, and so the expectation might be, okay, is she going to pay up? Bad news. Meet during the day, neutral area, around a lot of people, in a neutral location where he doesn't know where you live, you don't know where he lives. Like I said, and once you've done that a couple of times, and once you've kind of filled out the person, gotten a sense of who is he, how is his character, and then you can maybe go from there and expand and do more things. But you have got to be really safe. First things first. Second thing, I think some of us like to believe that we live in an era of color blindness, where color doesn't really matter. We've had a black president. We're not in slavery anymore, or civil rights was a couple of decades ago. Things are different. I think we like to pretend that we live in an era of color blindness, but unfortunately, there are situations that happen regularly that remind us that we're not. Remind us that the way that you are perceived when you walk out that door, that you are just ultimately you're not treated the same. I know me as a black woman that has been in all white environments, didn't been in different environments. I know it is the grace of God that has kept me from a lot of what could have been unsafe situations where I was the only black woman there and surrounded by all these kind of people. Like I know it is God's grace that has kept me. I know that. But the reality is there's a lot of us when we, like I said, we go out in these situations and we interact with other people. Race is still very much a thing. It is still very much a thing. Racial dynamics still happen. And it may not be in your face, it may not be blatant. Some of us it is. I think men are not under the illusion, black men in particular are not under the illusion that racism does not exist or that this system doesn't operate free of race. I think black men in particular know that. But I think us women, especially black women, I think sometimes we can move and operate and because we see certain things, because things are more diverse or integrated, then we're not completely aware of the way the system still works, the way the institution still works. And we may think that, oh, because things don't happen or we haven't experienced certain things, that we're going to be treated equally, we're going to be treated fair. And the reality is that that's just not the case. How many times have we seen this situation where a black woman goes killed and a white gentleman is involved and it's like like no one really cares. There's not a sense of urgency behind it. There's not really it doesn't really seem to be a big deal. It just does not seem to be a big deal. And here's another point that I want to say. I have no issue with anybody wanting to date or marry out. But we have to be realistic about what that means living in America today. In the year of 2020, there are still very many things. Um, there are still very many systems and institutions that will treat black people differently than white people, period. There's no other way to put it. And we see this time and time again especially when it comes to the criminal justice system, when it comes to law. We see how black women's death, especially when it could be at the hands of a white man, sadly, or at the hands of a non-black man, we see how the system often fails, and I think these are one of the things, especially as women. I was talking to my husband about this the other day, and I was like, I think as women, the way we operate when we're thinking about dating, when we're thinking about being in relationships, it's like generally it's like, yeah, if I get along well with that person, if we connect well, if we have fun, like it's that deep. That's it. We're not thinking, oh, well, is their parents or great grandparents, were they racist, or was his great uncle, did his great uncle get his money from whatever? Like I think it's usually a lot more personal. It's like as long as I get along with that person, and we seem to connect well, then that's as deep as it goes. You're not necessarily maybe having an awareness of does he have racist tendencies or not? Does his family have racist tendencies or not? Like, not to say there's not women who aren't aware of that, but I just think generally women, we have the luxury to maybe not be aware of certain things because women are not seen as a threat. Women are just not seen as a threat. When I married my husband, who is a dark-skinned black man, there were certain things that he experienced that were very different than mine. And there are certain realities that he had that were different than mine. But the more I got to understand him and got to see his experience, I was like, well, yeah, it's because he's seen as a threat. He's the one that walks in the store, somebody grabs, they grab their purse. He goes in the elevator, people walk back and they kind of freeze. That's his reality every single day. So he's not under the illusion that like, oh, this doesn't exist and everybody's nice to me and I'm not going to be treated differently. He's reminded every single day that that's not the reality. But I think as women, especially as black women, I don't think we're seen as a threat when it comes to certain things. And so we're not as aware of how these racial tendencies, unfortunately, still impact us or still can impact us institutionally. And it's not until situations like this happen where we see where we're not treated the same, where we're not treated fairly, we're not given the same I think, care that we would have, that it's like a reminder of just like, oh, this still is a thing. This still is a reality. And let's just be clear. If the races were reversed, if I was a black man with a white woman and a white woman ended up dead, would this situation Would the situation be quiet? Would the police be kind of, moving around like lollygagging, not have called anybody, not really following up, saying that it was a death and not a homicide? Would they have treated it the same way if the races was reversed? If this was a black man, right, who was with a white woman and the white woman ended up dead, would they have been treated the same way? I think everybody knows the answer to that. So that's why, this is my main thing. I like to say all the time that people should be able to date and marry and do whatever and love whoever they want, and no problem there. But we have got to be honest and we have got to be realistic about what that means in 2022. And sadly and unfortunately, in 2022, we cannot act like everybody is treated equal. So you have got to move accordingly. You have got to move accordingly, because sometimes, unfortunately, when you by the time you find out, it's too late. It's too late. And all we have right now is speculation. We don't know what happened. We don't know what happened between the two. We don't know. We know nothing. Was it an argument? Did he kill her? Did he not kill her? Was it a gunshot? Was it drug? Like, we know literally nothing, because he hasn't been investigated, because he hasn't been taken in for questioning, and it seems like nobody cared. That is the issue. That is the issue, and that's what I'm saying. Unfortunately, you lovely, 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 lovely ladies, we have got to be aware of this. We have got to be aware of, as we just decide to date and mate and do whatever we're doing. First of all, just be safe. Period. I don't care who. I don't care what the nationality of the gentleman that you're dating is. Be safe. Please be safe, because people out there are crazy. But I think especially now you have to recognize, and in certain environments in particular, like I said, and even TLA's talked about this, right? Elite attorney, where it's like the jurisdiction is going to be different in Georgia versus in Arkansas versus in Kentucky. Like, even different states, the way that they handle different states, different area and regions, they operate differently. And race is still very much a component. We can try to act like it's not, but race is still very much a component that is used when it comes to how to use, how to administer justice and how to administer law. So you have got to be aware of that, ladies. We cannot act like we live in a colorblind system, because unfortunately, some of us who pretend to do that can get ourselves in situations where we can be harmed, where we can be hurt, or where we can be shook, and it's too late. So I want to give a shout out to Norman Henderson for the 4.99 on the super chat. I very do appreciate you. Also, I want to give a special shout out to Yardley Moses for the 10 on the super chat. Much appreciated. I see 4 babies and multiple baby daddies. The last thing on her mind, shouldn't have been dating or meeting up with strangers. Shaking my head. Her priorities were out of order. R.I.P. And winching is, yeah. You know what? I didn't. So I'm not fully. I know she's a mother of 4. I don't know about the baby daddy situation, but I do know she's a mother of 4 at 29. So to your point, should she be meeting up with the guy? That's a whole nother question. That's a whole nother, like, okay, why are you meeting up with the guy that was a few years younger than you at 29, 4 kids? Was that where your priorities are? But like I said, that is a whole nother question. At the end of the day, unfortunately, the woman is deceased, so it's like we don't even know her reasonings. We can't even really hear her side of the story. All we can do is speculate. And that's what I'm saying, ladies. Like, this is a woman of 4. I mean, a woman of 4 kids, especially, probably needs to be even more safe than a single woman did, because now you have kids to be mindful of, and sadly, those kids are now without a mother, and that's sad. And what's even more sad is the fact that the system, right, the criminal law, justice, whatever system, doesn't really seem to be all that concerned. And that's all I'm saying is, like, you just got to be aware of what is going on here. You can date colorblindly if you want. You can date and swirl in a relationship. You can be free to do that, but you got to recognize that the way you're going to be treated and the way that your maybe partner or spouse or boyfriend or husband is going to be treated is simply different. It just is what it is. So I also want to bring your attention to this another story that shout out to Water Sniper to sharing this with me I think it was yesterday, 2 days ago. And I think this kind of speaks to what I was saying before. So I'm going to bring this up really quick. Also, guys, again, get those likes up if you're on here. Tag anybody, share this with somebody who you think may find it interesting. Also, you can feel free to find me on Cash App or Venmo and show your support. I truly, truly appreciate you. Okay, so I'm going to share this really quick. Okay. Okay. So I want to play this. Again, I want to play this video that was sent to me from Water Sniper. Shout out to Water Sniper. And it's a woman, a black woman, who was just talking about her experience with having biracial children. It's funny. I was actually just before I started this live, I got off the phone with one of my friends who has black woman that has two biracial kids and then two, I guess, fully black kids. And it was an interesting conversation. But I'm gonna play what this woman has to say about this before I weigh in. Okay.
Where are all my black women with biracial children? Because I know I am not the only one who goes through this on a daily basis. So whenever I'm out in public or in a grocery store or I'm taking my daughter somewhere fancy, there's always people who look at me, then look back at my daughter, then look at me, then they have the decency and the courage to walk up to me and say, "Are you the nanny? Did you adopt her? Is that your daughter?" Like, as if that's okay. And I think people need to normalize black women having biracial children because it's normal, just like white women having biracial children. Because whenever a white woman has a biracial child, nobody confronts her. When a black woman does, people want to make sure that that's her child.
Now, interesting. Yeah, I see. Shout out to Water Sniper. I don't know if this is necessarily true that black women are more policed than white women when it comes to having biracial kids. I don't know if that's true. I think I don't. I just don't know if that's true because I think generally speaking, the black culture I think is a little bit more accepting and more ingratiating of us dating and marrying out. Partially because some of us just have self hatred. To be quite honest, some of us have self hatred, and we would prefer to date and marry out, and so our arms are open to other ethnic groups, whereas other ethnic groups are not necessarily as welcoming to us. At least if we look from a historical perspective. But like I said, that is just my take on it. Again, if you're on here, get those likes up. Get those likes up, y'all. Tag anybody, share anybody. Feel free to send me your super chats. I appreciate your support. Also, you can find me on Cash App or Venmo, Shay Sade. And I'm just briefly going over this video that was sent over or to me by Water Sniper. I think it has some interesting things here. So I'm gonna continue.
And wonder why she decided to have a biracial baby. We're in 2022. Can we do better? We don't want.
Okay, and you remember what I said again about we're in 2022, as if things still aren't happening in 2022. I think because things have gotten a lot more sophisticated, we can have the illusion that things are not that bad. But when you actually if we just look at the state of the black community as a whole, right, and as far as wealth, as far as our communities, as far as just how the general population is doing, like there's still a lot of problems, and there's a lot of things that have not necessarily changed as much since we were set free, quote unquote. And so I think it can be really easy to be like, oh, well, it's 2022, none of this stuff happens, like it's not that big of a deal. And the evidence just does not bear out. I think it's easy sometimes to focus on the tokens or to focus on those who individually can do better, because that's kind of how it is. Like an individual person, if maybe a family here and there can escape and maybe do okay and do better for themselves. But the general collective of the black community, it was never really, my opinion, we were never meant to prosper under the system the way it was. That was not the original intention. If that was the case, then we wouldn't have been three-fifths of a person, and we wouldn't have been like building this land as slaves. So it's like, I don't think the intention was ever for us to be treated equally or to have a fair shot. So now fast forward and it's like, oh, it's 2022. It's like, you can't act like those things don't necessarily have an impact. You can't act like things are just all completely and totally better. Obviously there's work to be done. And anytime we want to forget that, I think there are subtle reminders, whether it's microaggressions, whether it's, the George Floyds of the world, the Ahmaud Arbery's of the world, whether it's we look at the unemployment rate, or we look at the infant mortality rate. Like it's just those little reminders are just like, oh no, there's still work to do. And it's just because of 2022 doesn't mean it all just magically goes away. So I thought that was an interesting point. Okay.
People knowing that you are a bad person, a deadbeat dad, then maybe you should take action to be in your child's life and being there for your child to the full extent, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially. But if you refuse to be there for your child or children that you willingly made with that woman, you will be called out for your bad behavior and your bad actions.
Okay, so it sounds like she got some baby daddy issues, y'all. Sounds like she got, yeah, both places aren't as accepting as, but yeah, no, we are very accepting. We are very accepting. It sounds like y'all that she got some baby daddy issues already. We're gonna continue, but she started off by saying she, you know what I mean? She is a black woman that has two biracial, she's or a daughter, I guess, that is biracial. And she gets all kinds of looks and all kind of scares from people who are confused when they see her with her daughter because they think she's a nanny. And she's like, "What are you talking about?" So she had a baby with a white gentleman, or at very least a non-black gentleman, and now she's talking about dude ain't paying no child support. That's what it sounds like to me. But we're gonna continue.
You can pay my bills, you could tell me what to do. But it looks like you can't even pay your own from the looks of it. We won't even go there. But do you really think by getting married to a man that your chances of not being a single mom are any higher than a woman that's not married? Because if that's the case, you're very delusional.
Huh? What?
Women who even are married to men are still single mothers in those marriages.
What? Okay, that's okay. I call cat. That don't make no sense. Women who are married to men and have kids are single mothers, just like single mothers. That's not true. Like, no, it's not. How could you even define that if you're not married? How would you even know? Did you grow up in a situation like, huh? That no, that makes no sense to me. And even if we want to assume, let's just assume, which I don't, but let's just assume that's true, that a woman marries a man, they have a kid, and the man takes zero responsibility for the kids. He never changes the diaper. He never feeds gives the baby food. He never plays with them. Like he avoids 100% of interaction with that child. Let's just assume that's true. They are living in the same house under the same roof with a kid, and he avoids 100% of interaction, never touches the baby, never interacts with the baby, never gives the baby food, never warms the baby food, never gets a bib, nothing, completely avoids the baby. Even if that was the case, the very fact that there are two people, you have now two incomes there. You have the income of the man involved. You have his presence. You have that contract, however you want to put it. That in and of itself changes the entire situation. Even if there was no zero contract, which is highly unlikely, it's highly unlikely for two individuals to be in a house with a loud screaming child and him not have any reaction. But even if that's the case, even if we assume that's the case, the very fact that that man is there and there's now that extra income, there's now that extra financial support. You're not having to deal with court. You're not having to deal with family court, child support. That in and of itself does make a difference. So no matter how you spin it, no, you being a single mother as a single mother you cannot compare to being with a mother who's married. You cannot compare. Yeah, there may be times when I know many women who are married and have multiple kids and they're stay-at-home wives. And so there may be times when their husband is working 10, 11, 12 hours and they are with the kids, and that can be rough. That can be rough sometimes. And so during those hours, especially during the week when maybe the husband is gone, he's commuting to work or he is working from home, but he's in meetings. Yeah. And those times and those seasons of the day, she may be on by herself generally, but even still, he gets off. He's right down there helping to change the diapers, helping with the bedtime routine, in the weekend, maybe giving her a time off to go to the mall or go grocery shopping like that. No. In what situation do we exist where two people can live in a house with a screaming child that requires all your attention, and one of them be 100% absent. That doesn't make any sense. And then even if we want to go, if we look at the CDC, we can break this down statistically. We know, at least as far as Black men are concerned, they were shown to be the most involved fathers, as far as, um, taking to bed, or not taking to bed, like, yeah, putting them to bed, being involved, feeding, clothing, like, they were shown to be the most involved fathers according to the CDC. So I'm not understanding that logic. I'm not. Again, if you guys are on here, get those likes up. Get those likes up. I'm gonna try this, wrap this up pretty soon. Also, find me on Cash App or Venmo, Shay Sade, and please show your support through Super Chat, Cash App, or Venmo. And if you would like to show support, are not able to do so financially, but would like to show support, you can help by liking, commenting, and sharing this content with somebody who you think would find it interesting. If you don't have the means to support financially, but you want to support another way, please share it, like it, comment, all of that. All of those things do make a difference. I'm going to continue.
For those women who are married to those men, take care of the man, take care of themselves and the child or children that they created together. I'd rather be a single mom by myself than a single mom in a marriage.
Yeah, so again, stop the cap. Stop the cap. What she described to me sounds like being a woman, and I don't know, that sounds, yeah, that's interesting. That honestly, it kind of reminds me of the propaganda that we would hear growing up as young women. This idea of like being the slave and you're just doing everything all the time, 24/7 all the day, and the man is just sitting on the couch with his feet up with a beer in front of the TV, and there's no interaction, and you're just being his slave, and you're just catering to him and bending down to him, and you're like an unperson. So I don't know where she's getting those ideas from. It sounds like, like I said, very similar to something that some of us heard growing up. Maybe we saw on television, maybe through the fear mongering. But I'm like, what evidence do you have? What situation do you have in your life that would make you lead you to believe that, or is that just something that you maybe heard? And if you didn't grow up maybe with the two-parent household, or didn't grow around people who are married, or haven't seen healthy marriages, all you can do at that point is come to your own conclusions based upon what you've seen, maybe online or on television, and that's not always good. Not always good. Not good at all. And like I said, I'd rather be a single mother within. I'd rather be a single mother single versus a single mother married. Financially, just strictly from a financial standpoint, it's gonna be better for you to be married. Period. Like, like I don't. I'm just trying to think. There's no situation. Generally speaking, children who grow up in a two-parent household under the same roof do fare better. They do better as far as their ability to be adults. So no matter how you spend this, like I said, financially, you have two incomes working together. You don't have to go to the courts to try to figure out who's going to support who. So no, that just doesn't make any sense. Y'all, if you're on here, get those likes up, please.
And even with happy marriages, that man can wake up one day and say, I don't want to be a dad anymore.
What? Woman can do the same thing.
It can happen to anybody. A guy can get a woman pregnant.
Yeah, women can do the same thing, as if women don't walk off and leave their kids. It happens. So anyways.
Treat her like a queen during her entire 9 months of pregnancy. And once the baby arrives in the world physically, then he'll show his true colors and how he really felt about his child's mother. Not every man shows his true colors during pregnancy. Some show their true colors right after pregnancy is over. My child's father's not black.
Y'all, okay. So as I said, marry before you carry. That will eradicate any potential, oh, well, he was this way and then now he's that way. Marry before you carry. Seriously, that's a very quick solution, in my humble opinion. If you decide that you want to create a human with another human, that's going to require you to be bound together for life, make sure you are actually ready to be bound together with that man for life. And that's essentially what, like, marriage is about. You kind of come to the conclusion, okay, we have decided that we are hearts, our minds, our values, our visions, whatever, they match, and we are ready to come together for life. That's essentially what marriage is about. So it's like, if you do that, if you already go through that process of we're aligned in all these different areas, we connect, emotionally, spiritually, as support and whatever it may be, then you don't have to worry about the guy switching on you after you have a baby, because you've 9 times out of 10 you've already gone through that process while you were engaged and then once you got married. So like I said, one more reason why I think you should marry before you carry. That'll really help. Really help.
Black. He's a white guy. I have a biracial child. Also, we were in a committed relationship. And he just heard
committed, no ring. No ring. No ring.
out to be a terrible person. And now I'm raising my child by myself. Where did you get a black guy? Or a black man? Or are you just assuming? You thought you ate? Without a plate. Do better. Because when you hate on somebody, make sure you at least hate on them with the right information.
So, okay, yeah. So I don't know if you guys saw that. Basically, somebody was like, why'd you let a broke black man, give you a baby? And she's like, well, my baby daddy isn't black. Okay, so if you're going to hate on me, at least be right. He's a white guy. And we were in a committed relationship without a ring, without a proposal, might I add. But nevertheless, in a committed relationship, and now he left me and he ended up being a horrible guy. So that's, I don't know if you guys saw that caption, but that's what it said.
Story time. So I've been raising my daughter since day one. Since the moment I found out I was pregnant, I did my pregnancy alone, to the moment that she arrived in this world. Now, he did show up at the hospital, and he only was around for 3 weeks. After those 3 weeks, he left, didn't turn back, and acted as if his daughter did not exist, and acted like he did not have a responsibility to take care of. I decided to put him on child support when my daughter was 3 months old. I went to child support court July 19th of 2021, and he was only ordered to pay child support $67 a month, and it got reduced to $37 a month. He was only around July 19th to July 28th, and after that, neglected her as if she doesn't exist once again.
Y'all, that's deep. So I know the story. Now listen, I know the story usually goes when it comes to child support that men get screwed over. I think that is the general consensus. But let me tell you, anecdotal though it may be, right? But let me tell you, in my life, I can use my friend for a situation who I mentioned, who had, was a black woman married to a white gentleman. He was involved in law enforcement. Make a long story short, things didn't work out. They divorced. And she was very honest with me how she was not treated fair in the system. She was like, I was not treated fair. The court system was a lot more racist than I ever would have anticipated. This is a black woman who, married her now ex-husband, white man, colorblind at the time. Oh, everything is great, kumbaya. And then when things didn't work out, then she really started to see how this thing works. And she was very honest with me. She's like, as a black woman going to court against a white man dealing with child support, I was not treated fair. She was very, very, very clear. She said that to be very, very clear, very honest. And this is true. This is a true thing. So like I said, I think it's generally understood that, child support, all these family of court is going to be in favor of the man. But when you start taking into interracial relationships, I think you have to start to, you might have to start to look at that a little bit more with a fine tooth comb, right? And in this scenario, here is a woman who had a child with a non-black man, a white man presumably, and courts were not in her favor. Courts were not in her favor. The dude was ordered like $67 of child support, then it got reduced to $37. That's a freaking joke. I won't even get you a tank of gas. That's a joke. So like I said, this is what I was saying about earlier, about as far as just being aware when you decide to date and marry, you can do that. You can love whoever you want to love and operate in that way and say things are colorblind, you're more than welcome to do that. But you have to recognize that unfortunately, the system, the way it works, it does not treat people as if color and race does not exist. And anytime you want to forget that, unfortunately, these little situations come up and happen, and to remind people. And I just think it's important that women, in particular, are aware of that, so that they're not confused, that they don't maybe make decisions that aren't thoughtful, but that they're aware of what's actually going on. So I'm going to continue, then I'm going to wrap this up.
So July 19th of 2021 all the way to July 28th of 2021, he was consistent during that time period. And after the 28th of July 2021, he blocked me on all social media as if his daughter does not exist and as if he does not have a responsibility to take care of. I was supposed to have surgery August 17th, and he knew that, and he told me he was going to show up to watch his daughter at my house while I was at the hospital under surgery for those 4 hours of my surgery. He never showed up. August 18th, I decided to text his brother, his sister, his dad, and his brother's wife. And out of all of them, the only one that responded back to me was his brother's wife. And this is what she had to say.
He told me throw it back about. So I sit this motherfucker on his lap about.
We talked about, because I don't see it being addressed enough. Can we talk about?
So basically, what she's showing is that her baby daddy is a mess, and that he doesn't want to claim the child. Now, we can try to all guess why, but the last portion, it looks like she is alluding to the fact that the reason that her baby daddy is not involved in the kid is because he doesn't want nothing to do with the black kid. That's what sounded like she was alluding to. But we're going to continue because this is almost done. But y'all, that's what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. Like, God forbid if she got pregnant by a dude that was racist or by a family that was racist. Now she's upset. Now her heart's broken. Now she's confused, and it's like, wow, like you weren't aware. There were no signs beforehand. And that's what I'm saying, ladies. I say this all the time. Anytime I go after some of the divestiture ideology or whatever, it's like, I'm not saying that you can't love whoever you want to love. You can do that. But you got to be honest about what this means. And you can't just pretend just because the dude don't look like you, or he's non-black, or he's white, or whatever, that it's going to be all good. There's other issues you got to consider. Now you got to figure out about whether or not the person is racist. Now you got to be mindful of that. You still got to figure out whether or not the person got good character. You have to be mindful of cultural differences. Like, it's a whole different ballpark. You can't just act like you can just, leave your community and it's just going to be all, tulips and daisies. That's not reality. And I think women can be really hurt. Women can be really confused sometimes and get themselves in bad situations when they're not aware of when they're actually making up grown up decisions. So anyways, I'm going to continue. We're almost done here.
About how mothers of biracial children go through this struggle on a day-to-day basis. And can we talk about how their child's father's mother is completely toxic and racist, and she does not like the fact that he's gotten a non-person of their race pregnant, and she does not want to accept her grandchild because of that reason. Because personally, in my situation, I did not know his mother was racist until after the fact of me being pregnant, me being 25 weeks pregnant, me finding out the gender of my child, and me sitting down having a meeting with her to allow her to know the gender of her grandchild.
She had no idea that her boyfriend at the time, who she was in a deeply committed relationship with, was racist. She had no idea. And that's what I'm saying. Like I said, I was talking to my husband about this, and he was just like, women have the luxury of living in an illusion. And I did not like his comment. I'm not gonna lie, I was low key in my feelings, but he started to explain it to me, and I was like, okay, I could kind of see it. I think sometimes people, when they think of a person being biased or racist, they get these pictures of these ominous visions of men with these like white, big old white hoodies on their face and burning crosses, and all those like visions of like just staunch, obviously racist people. And it's like, no, sometimes people could be as nice, they can be nice to you, you know what I mean, they can be well-meaning, well-mannered, and still deep down inside have a very toxic discriminatory or racist ideology. People are not aware of that. You can be nice. Racist people can be nice. And the fact that she went and created a child with a man who came from a racist family, and she had zero idea. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, now she's suffering the consequences of it. She's suffering the consequences of it. And this is not the fear monger, but this is to be honest and to be aware of what it actually means to be dating in 2022. You got crazy men of all different ethnicities going on around here doing crazy things. So, like I said, just because the dude slides into your DM, don't mean that you got to go meet him in his apartment. Please do not do that. You can end up literally on the 10 o'clock news the next day. Bad idea. But even apart from that, let's say you do believe you want to go divest and swirl, whatever. Okay, there are actual racial dynamics at play. I referenced this in my video that I posted yesterday. In that study where it basically talks about it looked at all these studies of how the general white collective was looking at black women and black beauty. And um, honestly, if you ain't ready for the truth, then you don't want to read it. If you want to hear something nice, you want to hear something nice, encouraging, then don't read it. But if you want to hear the reality of how people think behind closed doors and their inner thoughts and what's going on in their subconscious, then read it. And then these situations like this will not be as surprising. Shout out to General Tito with the 10 on their super chat. Okay, I see. That's when chicken heads chickens come home to roost. Okay, we're almost done. Then I'm gonna wrap this up.
And the first thing she asked me is what race I am, and it's going to take her some time to get used to a black woman being in the family, and it's going to take her some time to get used to a biracial granddaughter. And a lot of these racist women, they will purposely make it hard for you and your child's father to co-parent because they don't want to accept you in their family.
Yep. Facts.
Can we talk about that?
No mentally stable man is going to block the mother of his child while she is currently carrying his unborn baby.
The way a man acts towards you during your 9 months of pregnancy is not only how he feels about you, but how he's going to treat you for the rest of your life. Especially if he neglected you during your 9 months of pregnancy, he does not love you because people don't abandon the people they love. This video is for all my single mommies who have their deadbeat baby daddy on child support. Stitch this video and let me know how much your child's father is paying in child support payments a month and how many children you have. I will go first. I have one daughter, one child, and he's ordered to pay $62, but it got reduced to $37. Make it make sense.
So there you have it. There you have it. Those are the grim realities sometimes of what it means to date today, to swirl today, to date interracially, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, I'm going to wrap this up. Again, as I said, and I'll say it before, ladies, you need to be very, 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 very careful when you are dating, when you are looking at, potential long-term partners. I would never say a person can't date out, or I would never say a person can't marry out. They have the freedom to do that. I think they should go wherever they feel like they're loved and accepted. Also be realistic about what that means. We had two situations here. First situation was a woman with 4 kids. We don't know anything about her other than the fact that she had 4 kids, right? Who went out on a date with a guy who's younger than her, ended up dead. Nobody is investigating her situation. The police department does not really seem to be losing sleep over it. They don't really seem to care. This happens time and time and time and time again. As I mentioned before, if the races of these two people, the situation with the Asian Maynard and I think his name is Isaiah, if the races of those two people were switched, and it was a black man, right, who had went on a date with a white woman, and the white woman ended up dead in the apartment, and the black man called the police and said, "Hey, there's this white woman who's dead in my apartment," do you think that the police officers would have let that black man go and said, "You know what, it's fine. He wouldn't have been investigated. This would have been seen not as a homicide, but as just a death"? Do you think it would have been treated the same way? Do you think that white woman who spent the night with the black man would have been treated this same way? Her family would not have been called, would not have really made national news like that. The black man wouldn't be all free, chilling, doing his thing. Do you really think that would have happened the same way? Nobody under this chat believes that. We all know if that was a black man and a white woman ended up dead in the apartment, that black man would have been behind closed bars. Easy. That's the open and shut case. But because the races are different, here we have it. We have a black woman that's dead, a white man that we don't even really know. We know nothing about it because he hasn't even been taken in just for even basic questioning. All these unanswered questions, and the police station is telling the family, oh, well, died of natural causes, case closed. And this is what I'm saying. Whatever you decide to do, however you decide to date, marry, navigate, you can do whatever you want, but just be honest, be real about the consequences. And although you may love that person may love you for who you are, unfortunately, the way things are and the way things operate in this system, that does not mean you're going to be treated equally. It just does not mean you're going to be treated equally. Also, just because a person is nice does not mean that they necessarily come from a family that is open-minded. Doesn't necessarily mean that they come from a family that is not racist, as we saw with the other woman who said she was in a committed long-term relationship with her boyfriend who never put a ring on her finger. Just start there. If you were in a committed long-term relationship with a man for years and years and years, he will never put a ring in your finger and don't ever even bring up the topic of marriage. Already, there's some questions there. You got some things to question. Because a man knows generally early on whether or not you're wife material or not. He knows pretty early on. It doesn't take the man years, unless they're like maybe kids when they meet in like high school or whatever. That's different. But it's like grown adults, men. They know early on this is wife material or this is side piece at best. Period. So like I said, already out the gate, if you're in a long-term or committed relationship with this dude for years, he ain't put a ring in your finger. You already got some that's already a red flag. Anyways, the Black woman, she's in this committed relationship, in a relationship with the guy, had no indication that he was racist or came from a racist family at the very least. She gets pregnant, she's happy, but then finds out he's unhappy. He leaves her high and dry. Family wants something to do with her and the Black kid. Now she's a struggling single baby mama, with a deadbeat Brad baby daddy who is paying $37 a month of child support, if that. And this is the reality of what actually happens. This is actually what is happening. So again, I'll say this. You can find dirty, nasty struggle love situations within the Black community, Black on Black love. You can find, dirty struggle relationships with interracial relationships. You can find struggle love wherever you go. I'm just saying, ladies, please be aware. You got to actually be aware of what's going on. You got it. That's what I'm saying. You have got to be aware. That is my main thing. And these kind of situations like this, to me, are like, I don't want to say cautionary tales, but I think they should be learning lessons at the very least. So these, the deaths are not in vain. So these situations of these, baby mamas now, all those TikToks, you could tell she was going through it. Those are like 10 TikToks of her and her struggle of, single mom journey. That's the struggle. So it's like learn from their mistakes, learn from their examples, please, because this is actually what happens. It's not all tulips and daisies and roses if you marry out. It's not all tulips, daisies, and roses if you decide to date or marry out. It can be beautiful. There can be, like I said, know many people who are in interracial relationships, and you're gonna have some stuff to navigate. You may have to worry about you having some in-laws that call you the N-word when they get mad. You may have to worry about a grandparent who isn't going to accept you. You may have to worry about, God forbid, your spouse. They get mad at you when they slip and they say something. Like, those are real things. Like we can't act as if we live in a society that is colorblind when we see every single day how it operates and navigates based upon race and based upon the different way that it separates and divides people. And so like I said, this isn't about trying to fearmonger, but I think it's just more about being aware of what actually happened so that you're not as women, that you are not surprised, you're not taken aback, you're not set up for failure, but you are aware, and then you can move accordingly with the decision that you think is best. So anyways, I just wanted to share my thoughts on this situation. I'll be curious to see if more happens with Asia Maynard. I really hope that she does find justice, and I hope her family finds the answers that they need. I do. But anyways, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. Again, please be sure to like the stream, comment, share it. Again, if you'd like to show support, you can find me on Cash App or Venmo, Shay Sade. And also, if you are not able to show financial support, but you would still like to show support, you can like, comment, and share. Share this with anybody who you think may find it interesting. And yeah, definitely stay tuned. I appreciate all of you guys, and we will talk later. Bye.